After signing,
What is that? He must share the thing. Oh, you share? Yeah. You want to share? Yeah, I think so. Ask him. He's going to share because he can share it as well.
Can share. You want to share? You can then share it or you can share it. Who wants to share it? Anyone? Who will share the share?
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Joseph Mathunjwa, Secretary of Amcu, General Secretary of Amcu. We are gathered this afternoon here to witness the seal that we put on the documents as a testimony of our achievement. This must be borne in mind that it's not just an Amcu achievement, but it's an achievement that will flow through every sector. So we are delighted this afternoon to have all of you here. Without any further ado, we are going to take register and look at the people who are here. But today it's extraordinary meeting. Maybe I should leave that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if they ask questions, then they...
So let me introduce my team up front here. I've got Jim, our advocate from England, who has been with us through thick and thin since 2012 at the Falam Commission. Next to my right hand side, I've got Comrade Jimmy Gama, who's our Treasurer General. And I will go further to my left. I've got Comrade Nkali Shanede, our National Organizer. Are you not happy when I introduce Nkali Shanede? So I've got Comrade Limpofu here in our midst. And I also have Comrade Limpofu is the one who's helping us with the issues of Marikana. I've got Bishop. You don't need an introduction now. No. I've got Bishop Sioka, who has been so engaging with everybody here. And then on my immediate left here, I've got our President, Comrade Joseph Mathunjwa. And in the background, I've got the leadership of our branches at Anglo, Impala and Lonmin. You are most welcome. I therefore welcome you as well. We hope that you will do justice to this meeting or this conference and report correctly. So I'll give this time to our President, Comrade Mathunjwa, to give a synopsis of what has happened until now.
Thank you very much and good afternoon once more. The Platinum Strike Settlement and workers return back to work. Introduction. You are elated to announcing a positive news to the South African public and world at large regarding the end of the protracted but necessary industrial action in the platinum sector. It was daunting and energy-draining exercise of the union and its members, who remain steadfast and united behind their call for a 12,500 living wage. Despite the many sacrifices of our members and their families, we are humbled above everything else by the unity of platinum mine workers who showed maturity through the 5 months of the strike. We are confident to inform South Africans that this was the most peaceful strike, even in instances where there were direct provocation from mine security and the South African police services. As the leadership of Amcu, we were particularly encouraged and motivated by the resilience of our members throughout the 5 months duration of this historic strike. Our biggest thanks must go to our members. We also thank the leadership of Amcu at various levels, from NEC to branches level, who worked tirelessly to maintain the unity of workers during the strike. The process was characterized by numerous challenges at different intervals. South Africa is demanding to know why the strike took so long. As the leadership of Amcu, we believe that there are a number of key learnings from these processes for both the union and the employers. This was the first negotiation process between the parties, and it was infested with initial mistrust between the parties. At the end of this led to the strike dragging for long than necessary, as parties were holding out hoping for a different outcome. This compelled both parties to eventually move out of their comfort zones to reach a settlement. We thank everyone who provided leadership at a critical stage, of which eventually led to the closure of the important chapter of our labor relations. Our journey. The negotiations in the Platinum Belt have ushered in a paradigm shift in collective bargaining in the South African labor market. The paradox of wage increases as opposed to wage adjustment underpin engagement, leading to the settlement agreement. Over the years, workers have been receiving inflation-related increases and that do not address structural discrepancies in the mining wage structure. This led to the huge inequality between and with the job categories. We have been very vocal about the levels of inequalities between the executives and the mine workers, and eventually unravel obscene packages given to the mine bosses. One of the fundamental milestones of the platinum strike was the shift in the shift of the mindset of the media, local and international public, when looking at Amcu demands. When the strike commenced, the Amcu demands were viewed as irrational and unaffordable. However, as a union, we believe that we succeeded in persuading the stakeholders and the public at large to understand our struggle based on reaching evidence and instant scrutiny of company performance and the slave wage regime that has historically underpinned this sector. Our journey towards this settlement was compounded by numerous challenges in the face of the adversity from hostile forces known and unknown to us. The platinum producers were not initially willing to shift from their practice of wage bargaining. During the strike, there were numerous attempts to break the strike through court application, which sought to declare the strike unprotected. The companies instituted stringent picketing rules that made it difficult for members to exercise their rights. Our branch leadership was constantly arrested on frivolous and vicious charges that were never proven in any court of law. And above everything else, one of the local leaders was shot dead by the police during a peaceful protest at Anglo American Platinum. We were reinvigorated by this action, and we did not despair in the face of adversity. Amcu has redefine the role of mass action and solidarity in the trade union movement. As we reflect on the 5 months preceding the settlement, we can never fail to mention the groundbreaking marches to the platinum producers, where we handed in petitions to these mining bosses. We are reminded of our picket to the union building, where we handed a petition to the presidency, which culminated in removal of certain ministers in line with some of our demands. As such, the Amcu struggle for decent work and living wage in the platinum sector evolved to be a social struggle with contribution from numerous role players. We saw the participation of various institutions of government, such as the CCMA, Department of Labor, NEDLEC, Labor Court, and Department of Mineral Resources, who all made attempts to bring the parties together. The intervention of the DMR minister was a breath of fresh air to negotiation processes before he was withdrawn. There was also an important role from other compatriots who volunteered their time and expertise to facilitate a settlement to this impasse. In this, we are reminded of the contribution of Bishop Sioka, Advocate Dalimpofu, Brian Ashley, and Dr. Dick Forsland, and Professor Alexander, who volunteered a lot of time towards these processes and were in the trenches with all of us trying to find solutions. We also recognize the contribution of the social movements and the organization that supported striking workers with food and health and also food parcel, which relieved pressure on families and ensured that the vulnerable were taken care of. We thank the gift of the givers, Muslim community, University of Johannesburg, University of Witwatersrand, United Democratic Movement, Economic Freedom Fighters, Amcu, and Amcu members in the gold sector for financial support to their comrade in the platinum sector. Settlement agreement. In the past 2 weeks, the parties moved closer to one another, leading to an in-principle agreement that was concluded on Friday, the 13th June 2014. Culminating from this principal agreement, as the leadership of Amcu were able to seek revised mandate from our members, we were then able to revert back to the platinum producers on the 17th of June 2014 with a feedback which led to the conclusion of an agreement that was eventually accepted by our members yesterday, the 23rd of June 2014. There are generic issues that cut across all companies in the agreement since we were negotiating as a collective. However, there are issues that are specific to certain companies in line with the historical operation requirement. In summary, the agreement outlined the following. Generic issues. The duration of the agreement is 3 years for all the companies. The back pay will be for a period preceding the strike, and the no pay principle will apply for the 5 months protected strike period. All companies agreed to lift all dismissal, suspension, and disciplinary action instituted during the strike action. All companies will assist migrant workers with renewing their work permits. All companies will provide humanitarian support of food, transport, and health supplements to work during first month of returning to work. All companies agree to provide employees a debt holiday of 2 months before effecting deduction of statutory deduction owed to them by the workers. All companies agree to calculate retirement fund contribution on adjusted basic salary in the first year and will use a quantum amount increased by CPI in the second and the third year. All companies agree to set up a task team to deal with process issues that were not concluded during this negotiation process, such as job grading review, profit sharing scheme, abolition of labor brokers, setting up life skill centers, concluding severance policies, and finalizing decent housing and living conditions for mine workers. Company-specific issues. The wage increases vary from company to company, which was influenced by their budget and levels of competition among themselves. There are similar agreements for Anglo-American Platinum M-Plats and Impala Platinum, who offered A-B category employees 1,000 for the first year and 1,000 again for the second year and 950 for the third year. For B6 and B7 employees, the agreement is 1,000 for the first year or 8%, whichever is greater, and again 1,000 for the second year or 8%, whichever is greater than, and 950 for the third year or 7.5%, whichever is greater. However, for Lonmin, the agreement for A and B category employees is 1,000 in year 1, for year 1 and year 2 and year 3, and is more higher with 50 rand on the living out allowances. In the C category, employees who mainly comprise of miners, artisans, and supervisors, M-Plats and Impala agrees to offer 8% year 1, year 2, and 7.5 on year 3. However, Lonmin agreement is 8% for year 1 and 7.5 for year 2 and 7.5 for year 3. Understanding that already comparatively pay higher salaries in these categories than their competitors, referring to Lonmin. The allowances differ slightly between the companies in the following manner. For M-Plats, the living out allowance will increase by 6% in the first year of the agreement and remain constant for the duration of the agreement. For Lonmin and Impala, the living out allowance will increase to 2,000 in the first year and remain constant in the last 2 years of the agreement. Companies will increase medical aid variable, with M-Plats agreeing to increase this by medical inflation in the last 2 years of the agreement. Dignity of the mine workers restored. As a trade union, we believe that this is a dignified settlement to this impasse and will be pedestal to better wages towards a living wage in the sector. It is the highest wage increase achieved by exploited workers in South Africa, with entry-level workers receiving between 18% to 20% increase. In the first year of the agreement, a significant portion of our members will achieve 12,500 basic salary by the end of this 3-year agreement. This agreement will increase the minimum basic salary in all the 3 producers to 8,450 in the 3rd year. Amcu is committed to utilize all lawful methods to ensure that the minimum wage of 12,500 will be reached by no later than 2017. As such, we are confident that this has been a painful but necessary struggle to transform the lives of our members. Our motto as a union is that Amcu will make a difference, and we believe that we have lived up to our values by the resilience of our members, harmonious labor relation and productivity of the sector. The signing of the wage settlement has marked an end to the strike and the commencement of productive work in the platinum sector. We, however, urge all parties to start on the new leaf of industrial relation underscored by the cooperation, unity, productivity for the benefit of everyone concerned, the industry and the country as a whole. The return to work is therefore a major achievement for all parties, as we are geared towards resuscitating the sector to productive levels prior to the strike moving forward. Conclusion. The Platinum Belt workers have fought a good fight, leading to the current wage settlement. It has been a grueling process that has yielded successful outcomes, transforming the sector to be a worker-driven in improving the lives of the mine workers and their families. One of the achievements of this strike were qualitative gains which led to the dedicated focus in improving the socio-economic condition of our members. There have been numerous concessions that will be dealt with in the process issue, bent on improving housing and other profit-sharing mechanisms during the implementation of this agreement. Government, through the DMR, has committed to expedite the housing project with a target of concluding this process in the next 18 months. These qualitative gains will complement the quantitative salary increase which have been achieved as a result of the strike. In our view, this is the victory for all workers in South Africa. Amandla.
Thank you, President. Ladies and gentlemen, now this is time for questioning relevant or related to the President's speech. You are more than 1,000 in this house. I'm not going to be able to take all the hands. We are rushing always. We've got meetings. So we will take on the basis of first come, first served.
Start on your right.
I'll start on my right hand side. Can I have you, sir?
Yeah, Andrew, England with the Financial Times. Mr. Mathunjwa, can I ask what your plans would be now for the gold sector? Obviously, we had the Labour Court ruling last week. Now you've got succeeded here, or you've claimed a victory here. What are your plans for other sectors going forward? Thank you.
I think that will be a continuation of the struggle to liberate our fellow comrades in the mining sector to realize a decent salary or a living wage and better conditions of employment. But it is incumbent to them whether they join Amcu in large numbers. But for those that have already joined Amcu, we will work towards their liberation from these slave wage salaries that they are currently receiving.
Would that include industrial action? Would you call a strike?
If that is the part of the game that will you within the ambit of the law.
Thank you.
Can I come to you, sir?
Jana Lange from Media 24. Can you give us particulars of the offer made by the government with regards to housing? And are you party to that? Will you participate in that offer? Meaning, after this 3-year agreement, the ambition was expressed by the Minister of Labour to consolidate the living out allowance into the basic wage. What is your stance on that?
I think we'll be part of that as per the commitment by the government on the processes. That's why we do have a task team with different components of the agreement. As you remember that some of these companies, they were supposed to conclude such task of building houses about 5 years ago. Some of them, they haven't even implemented their social labor plan. I think the intervention of the government, it will be more of a compliance of which will be part of that process. And the issue of collapsing the living wage into I think it will be part of the process, because you remember that was an idea that was proposed by the government that to increase the basic salary, we should collapse our living out allowance. In other words, they were trying to say, let's cross-subsidize ourselves, of which we rejected.
Can you just for clarity, so that the collapsing of the living out allowance is linked to the housing?
That was an idea of the government that they wanted to link it in order to increase the basic salary, of which we rejected. Thank you.
Can I have you?
Ray Mataka from MoneyWeb. I just want an outline as to whether have you discussed with the platinum producers as to concessions that are made into restructuring, and will you be considering share options going forward for the platinum mines?
I didn't hear the last question.
Will you be reconsidering share options with platinum mines going forward?
Okay. Thank you. The first one, the issue of restructuring, the commitment by the 3 platinum producers was that they cannot embark on restructuring processes because they know that they need to stabilize the mine in order to bring the mine into productivity. That was their commitment, of which we believe that they will honor their commitment. And the issue of the option share, that's what we are saying. Yeah, share option. I think that is part of the processes that will be embarked on the task team. Yes, they did committed that will be one of those things that we'll be looking at.
Can I give you a chance to
Thank you. Charmane from Reuters. Does this agreement mean that the platinum producers have ruled out the possibility of retrenchment?
The agreement was talking about improving the lives of the employees. So the retrenchment has got its own processes. So as far as we know, we haven't received any notice of Section 1893 talking about the retrenchment. I think the focus should be the achievement and the conclusion of this agreement, what it entails. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alan Say from Business Day. It doesn't sound like there's any link between the wage increase and productivity. Is that going to form part of another part of the discussion with producers once you guys are back at work?
I think if the agreement doesn't relate to increased link on productivity, it doesn't link. But however, that doesn't stop the employers to engage with the relevant structures of the Amcu when wants to talk about productivity.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Has the union signed an agreement not to strike within that 3 years with the employers?
No, the union hasn't signed the agreement of not striking, but the union cannot strike on issues that are entailed in the agreement.
Yes, sir.
As far as you are concerned, does the signing of this agreement guarantee labor stability in the platinum sector for the next 3 years, as far as I'm concerned? And two, you demanded an assurance that no one is going to be laid off for the duration of the agreement. It seems like you did not get that assurance. How do you feel about that? Does it worry you?
The first question, I don't understand what do you mean by there will be stability. Are you suggesting that because there was no agreement, there was no stability? I think you need to be clear what you mean by stability.
And the second question?
Oh, I thought maybe you would.
Okay, just to put it bluntly, with you signing this agreement, does it mean that you're not going to see a strike by yourselves in the platinum sector?
Are you referring a strike as an instability, a protected strike as an instability? Oh, no, it's not that I want to answer it. It's because even yourself, you cannot find yourself from your question.
Does this mean that we're not going to see a strike by you now for the next 5 years?
On issues that are contained by the agreement. Issues that are compounded by the agreement, by law, you cannot strike against those issues. But issues that are not part of the agreement, yes, we will strike if it needs to be.
And the issue of not getting the assurance on layoffs, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I've said it clear that they made a commitment. That's the assurance they gave us that as we're returning back, the mine should be stable, the mine should be profitable. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm covered. I was going to ask about job losses.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much for that conduct. Yes.
Anglo from CCTV. In the other mining sectors, there are wage negotiation groupings, or what they call them, bargaining councils. Is this going to lead to a creation of a bargaining council in the platinum sector, do you think?
No, I've never thought of that. So far, I think we are happy as we are continuing. Unless if maybe you've got any insight.
Do you think that then the follow-up then is, do you think that the employers want a bargaining council?
I think they will be in a better position to answer that question. As for us, we are still independent. We don't have bargaining unit. We are still negotiating per mine.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mathunjwa.
Your name again?
My name is Govan Whittle from Eyewitness News. Mr. Mathunjwa, could you please tell us about the Amcu membership and how much it has grown during the strike period? If you're able to. Gentlemen, I'm speaking. Mr. Mathunjwa, I'd just like to know about Amcu's membership and how it has grown during the strike period. And then the second question, sir, the criminal charges which were instituted against your staff stewards.
Sorry, I mean,
sorry,
I can't,
sorry,
it's very disturbing.
Sorry, gentlemen.
It's quite disturbing.
I think when you got invitation, you came with your machine ready to take whatever. But now, if you are going to try and assemble your machines right now, it's disturbing. Can we just restrain from that? And I also hear some cell phone buzzes. Can we be careful of that? Yeah.
Okay, you got the first answer?
No, can you repeat it, your
Okay,
question,
it's
please?
about the membership, Amcu's membership. If you could tell us how much it has grown, if you have numbers around your membership since the strike started. And then the second question, the criminal charges which were instituted against some of your shop stewards, have those charges now been dropped? And what is your comment on it?
I think the first question is very rational because it suggests that Amco fit from strikes. I think the focus was about how to get a living wage. So we are not yet back in the office and we are not recruiting during the strike. So I think we need to be objective with our questions. So by saying that, I mean, I'm not fighting you, but the point is, it's very irrelevant to ask how many members have we gained during the strike. We are not back to work. Maybe they will join us once we're back to work after we present the agreement. And then the issue of criminal charges. The issue of criminal charges, I think, is to do with the SAPS. So the companies, I don't think they do have an upper hand to suggest who must not be tried. So it's a process on its own. But for those that were dismissed, I think, let me assist you. For the one Lonmin, for those 236 workers of essential services that were dismissed, they will be reinstated. They will be also reporting back to work tomorrow.
Do you feel that the police is targeting your union, your shop stewards?
It goes without saying.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mathunjwa, I'm Omar Mutasa from the BBC Africa Service. Some of the trade unions have been saying that the way you have been conducting your strikes and whatever, you are more on a communist style, and they even started saying you are a communist. And exactly officially, when do you expect the mine workers to go back to work?
The mine workers are reporting tomorrow back to work. And your first question, whatever name that you are giving us, you learned people, as long as it brings food on the table, that is what is important.
I'll take you, lady, and then I'll come to you.
Can I have a second one?
Let me take the lady first, and I'll give it to you.
Please, it's creating a problem with people here. Just switch it off.
Okay.
Mr. Mathunjwa, on behalf of Business Records, I'd like to find out what plans you have to organize the sectors of the economy.
Can you repeat it again?
No, do you have any plans to organize in other sectors outside mining and construction?
Yes, I mean, as long our constitution gives us that scope, we will. As you were listening to SAFM this morning, there were many callers calling for Amco to join Amco. Yes. We will.
Yes.
Yes, I think you mentioned the issue of trust between the parties in the course of the process over the last couple of weeks. Would you say that the trust between yourselves and the employers have improved? And secondly, but somewhat related to that, Amplats instituted a large civil claim against you, very strange claim. Is that part of the agreement I've heard before?
Thank you. The first question, yes, I think the trust is something that we need to build on. But surely we've made some milestone in terms of improving trust during these wage negotiations. It's an ongoing process. You know that the trust is earned at the end of the day, and as much as the respect. And coming with the civil claims that were put against Amco, yes, all those civil claims were withdrawn.
Mr. Mathunjwa?
Thank you. Sorry. Yes, sir.
I'm Calvin from ANN7. I just want a reaction from what CEOs outside told media. They said that it is not necessarily a time of celebration, and there are no winners in this strike. So do you believe Amcu is not a winner here?
I think you can also draw a conclusion. Some of the platinum mines concluded an agreement with NUM, of which was giving workers 400 rand for each year, which was a 2-year agreement. And Amco has signed a 3-year agreement that gives workers 1,000 rand per month. So you can draw the conclusion.
Yes, ma'am.
Malika from Jacaranda FM. Just for clarity's sake, can you run us through exactly what the workers will have to do tomorrow, the training, how long it will take the shafts to get up and running to be the way that they were beforehand? Just so that we can get a brief.
What I know is that Amco has concluded the agreement today. Our members are reporting back for duty. All those processes and administration is for the company. It's not for Amco.
You can't elaborate slightly on
No,
that?
they have to go through the processes of medical checkups and go for fitness and inductions and those in terms of mine health and safety. Those are the processes that have to follow. But bulk of them, it will be administration by the companies. Thank you.
Sam Gordon from TVC News. You spoke in your statement about how all the role players had to step out of their comfort zones. That was the words that you used. Could you shed some light on what that comfort zone was for you and how you stepped out of it to try and get to this agreement?
You remember the first time our 12,500 was at the goal. So meaning by moving out of the comfort zone is where then we went to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and subsequent to reaching this agreement.
Thank you. I think we are done.
Clarity on the 3,000 rand back to work bonus. I haven't heard any address.
Okay. You will remember that in previous strikes, when the workers were returning back to work, the employers were giving them a startup allowance to catch up with the loss. So because of this strike has been 5 months and there is a back pay, so therefore that back pay will cover the very same 3,000 rand. So the 3,000 was meant for that. Was not a new demand as media was portraying. So it was a startup kind of allowance to allow the members to get well and to get all those issues that they lost during the time of the strike. So that was meant. It was not a new demand. Let me repeat again. There was no new demand.
We are the last, very last two.
Okay.
In that order, yes.
Gentleman with the Wall Street Journal. I couldn't hear part of your comment. You mentioned how the workers that won't reach the 12,500 by the end of this agreement, you said something about by 2017. Could you just clarify what will happen for the workers who don't reach the 12,500 in this period? When you expect that to happen?
We're simply saying we will continue with our fight for 12,500. So of which we believe by 2017 every member of Amco should be in the position to earn 12,500.
Christine from SABC. Mr. Mathunjwa, will you also be getting an increase?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, that's a good question.
Why not?
From where? From Impala or from Lonmin, Anglo? I think this was we were negotiating for the workers. So.
Thank you. There's a question.
Someone. Okay. Andre Jansen van Vliegen from Bloomberg. In relation to the workers that will have, I think you mentioned 8,450 by the end of this agreement, and also for the workers that would have reached 12,500. Is it possible to give sort of like a percentage as to how many of the workers will be at that 12,500? How many will not be there? Is those sort of stats available?
Yeah, I think that is not quite available right now, but we commit to provide you with that detailed report of the achievement based on your question.
Can I just take counsel? I'm coming to you. Okay. It will go on one. Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm from Soweto. I just want to find out. Yeah, I'm fine. I understand that you have won. You have achieved this winnings, but what's going to be the minimum wage in the platinum mining sector in one of those companies? And you know, when will the workers be paid? Are they going to be paid tomorrow or in the beginning of next month?
All right, the first question. At the end of this agreement, there will be no worker in the platinum that will be earning less than 8,000 rand. So any new recruits will earn 8,000 or above as a basic salary, excluding benefits and allowances, which that is a breakthrough. And then your second question, within 7 days, the back pay will be paid.
I see no further hand. Ladies and gentlemen, can I sincerely thank you for coming to this press conference, and this is where we end it. Before that, I'm not opening any questions, but the Bishop and our colleagues there want to say something.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, media. I think that we need to be mindful of the fact that even though the monetary aspect of this strike has been achieved to a large degree, there remains humanitarian challenges. And it will help if you as media would highlight the plight of the people. We should be grateful that the strike has come to an end peacefully with less violence, and we must then commend the workers and assist them to focus on that which restores their dignity. I think that's an important aspect for me, that the issues of community where they live, the squalor situation, lack of recreational facilities, schools, remain an agenda that need to be pursued. And you can help in highlighting those issues that needs to be addressed. So it's not the end of the workers' struggle. There's still more that needs to be done to restore the dignity of the working people. They deserve the best also, just like all of us. And so thank you for being here and for the work that you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I don't have much to say, simply just to join in the celebration and to say these are the 3 agreements with the 3 companies. All three, and I think that's it. Anglo and Lonmin. But I think the only one thing that I want to say really, which is that to reiterate what the President said, that the real winners in this are the workers, they are the members. Those of us who were helping here and there, we are very grateful and we are privileged, and thank you for acknowledging that, President. But ultimately, the real heroes here are the workers themselves. And I think but also, maybe finally, because the leadership of Amcu, starting from the President right down to branch and shaft stewards, because they cannot thank themselves, obviously. Yeah. And I think it remains for us to say that you have shown leadership, all of you, at very difficult times. Precisely. The mere fact that there was unity among the workers throughout a 5-month strike, which was the longest strike in this sector in this country, is a testimony to your leadership. And I think that other unions from now in the future will have something to learn. And we are very grateful that you involved those of us like Bishop and myself to assist where we can. But it was only through your own leadership at all the structures that has made sure that there was minimum violence, that has made sure that there was maximum unity. So we salute you. Thank you.
On that note, you can take photos as much as you want.